Wisconsin conservatives are currently in the process of trying to revive an abortion ban from 1849. Friendly reminder that conservatives are actually regressives in that they're constantly trying to take the country back years, decades, in this case centuries, and that liberals are the real conservatives as far as trying to conserve and preserve the status quo.
I don't want to take women in Wisconsin back to 1849. I don't want to take away the rights of victims of rape and incest. I want women to have the same freedom that they have had for the last 50 years since Roe became the law of the land. This is in such stark contrast from my Senate Republican colleagues who want to strip away the constitutional rights and freedoms of women in Wisconsin and nationwide.
Look, Trump said that it would be a states' rights issue, so now we're dealing with this insanity.
Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be.
The Democrats failed to codify Roe v. Wade when they had the chance to. We lost our rights to women's health care while the Democrats were in office, and I know that they weren't technically to blame for it, but they didn't even try to help us when they could have.
Am I right in thinking that you view the Roberts Court as a political body and the conservative majority as politicians instead of jurists?
No, look, I think they made a wrong decision. I think they read the Constitution wrong. I think they made a mistake. And I was being blunt. And the part of it that they said, remember, what they said was, it's up to the states to decide. That's really what was said. It's no longer a constitutionally guaranteed principle. And they used the phrase that women can vote and they can change if they want to. I found that somewhat insulting, the idea that they don't think they can. Women are speaking out. They spoke out in 2022. They spoke out in 2024, 2020. This is what's going to happen. And I was just making it clear. Women speak up. This is going to change. And if you give me a Congress that's Democrat, we're going to change it back to Roe v. Wade.
Trump is already talking about dismantling whatever existing system of checks and balances we have at the federal level, but don't be surprised when you see similar systems failing at the state level. Wisconsin Republicans literally want to take Wisconsin back to 1849. When asked pointed questions about what they were actually trying to do, the party, who only ever claims to care about the children, admitted without a falter, without a stammer, that yes, they would like to go back to a time when a child would be forced to give birth to her rapist baby, even if that baby was a product of incest. Luckily for the people of Wisconsin, they've got a judge and a state Supreme Court that seem to understand that this is untenable. But you can't blame Wisconsin Republicans for trying, because similarly restrictive and destructive bans have already been enacted across the country. Will the court be able to effectively block these efforts? We can hope on behalf of the people of Wisconsin, but we're in a time now when the rules don't matter and the laws are more like guidelines to be enforced or discarded as is convenient for whoever's involved. And by whoever, I don't mean the American people who will be directly affected by the outcome of these legal and political battles. I mean the people at the top. They get what they want and we have to suffer the consequences. It is not a new story. It's just one that the American people have perhaps deluded themselves into thinking they were above. We live in a democracy. We are told time and time again that our voices matter. We are told to pledge allegiance to the flag and to this country that does everything for us, that fights for us, that protects us, as long as we pay our taxes, of course. Ben Franklin famously said that death and taxes were certainties in this world, but I think it was Jon Stewart who said that the work of making this country and this world a place that you would like to live in is a certainty. It is never ending. It is nonstop. It is a no lunch break kind of job. It doesn't start and stop with elections. It doesn't even stop when you win a victory. The fight keeps going, so you keep going. Something else that can be gleaned from history is that the more a society progresses, the more complex it becomes. For one, everything that has ever happened within that society becomes part of its modern day makeup. History cannot truly ever be erased, and every single thing that happens leaves a mark, however seemingly trivial. Things have a way of coming back around because things never truly die. But as societies progress, the wants and needs of the populace change. They begin to expect more and demand more from their government. They expect and demand that its ruling class, regardless of the type of government, address their more modern needs in a way that is sufficient and as ethical as possible. When they're no longer worried about where their next meals are coming from, the people have the time and energy to focus on more higher-minded causes. Because of this, there's actually some incentive from ruling parties to resist modernization and advancement to a certain extent, which could arguably be what we're seeing happen right now in the United States. But for the people, there is always somewhere to go from where we currently are, and perhaps that's comforting. It's relentless, but there is always hope for something better around the corner. But the Democrats will always be disappointing because as much as they claim to be the party of the people, they're actually the party of capital. Nancy Pelosi, for example, doesn't want any checks on what's essentially insider trading in Congress. Why not? That would be in line with the professed democratic ideals, but she doesn't want to do it. Antitrust laws, where are they? I don't see them. All I see are monopolies everywhere. Whenever they've had the ability to protect the people and push forth the initiatives that would directly benefit the people, sure, they've done some, but not nearly as much as they could have done. Democrats are too polite to make waves, and they love to be polite. Conversely, the Republicans will always represent the fear of change and forward movement. They will always want to go back to a time when they perceived that things were better for them, even if it means things will actually get worse and more dystopian for millions others, likely for themselves too. It is easy to romanticize the past. Millennials, we do it all the time. We are nostalgic as hell for our childhoods, for the 90s, for a time that felt simpler and happier and less fraught with uncertainty and instability. Times when our futures were before us, unlike now when many of us feel as though we've aged out of the things that we never got to have in the first place. We are all disappointed that the American people did not turn out to protect the rights of women across this country. We feel betrayed by it, and maybe that's taking things too personally, but I think I said it yesterday, we operate out of our emotions for better or for worse, so the fight continues, all right? That's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.